Well, I'm delighted to be joined by Joe Edwards. Joe's in the car park at Bramall Lane at the moment. It's been a tough night, Joe. Damp, dreary, wet, pretty poor, and that's not just the weather; it's the Wolves' performance. That was very, very disappointing.
It was. You can't sugarcoat it. It was a poor performance, and it's concerning. Wolves have only registered one shot on target in each of the last two games. They're 6 games without scoring in the first half. It was just too negative. They could have maybe took a few risks, tried to win the game. They were too conservative, tried to play for a point and got punished. And it's 2 defeats on the bounce. Yes, I don't want to sound too negative because the overall picture is still looking all right, really. I mean, you're still 6 in the table. Champions League hopes are pretty much kaput, it seems. But yeah, you just can't sugarcoat that. It wasn't a good performance. Too negative, and you can't help but feel frustrated.
Yeah, still looking good at the tail, but at the same time, you've got Arsenal, you've got Spurs, you've got Sheffield United now have moved to within a point of Wolves. They're all there, and look, if there's another slip up, if there's another couple of slip ups here, they've got Everton at home, which is a difficult game on Sunday. Then Wolves could find themselves out the Europa League picture altogether if they don't pick up and pull up their socks. The worrying thing for me, Joe, is the lack of chances in both games. Very few shots on target. Wolves don't particularly look like scoring. They don't look like threatening. There's a couple of good phases here and there. But yes, they've played 3 poor sides, and then they've got to play, Arsenal and Sheffield United, who are there or thereabouts. And they've been found wanting, to be honest.
Yeah, there's no real clear-cut chances, was there? I mean, Ruben Neves has hit the crossbar with what was a very good free kick, but Nuno said it's down to small margins. But when you're not really creating clear-cut stuff, then you can't really be expecting to win games of football. And as we say, Wolves have had 1 shot on target against Sheffield United and Arsenal, and that's got to improve. They've got to be creating a lot more. They've got the players in the final third to do it. Jota looks out okay when he coming back in the side. He had some moments in the first half, but second half his impact just completely waned. Jimenez has barely had a kick really both games, so that's got to improve. I mean, 3-4-3, it was a more attacking setup from the off, but they just didn't make that change when they needed it. There was Powdens that you've left on the bench, you've left Vinagre on the bench, even the likes of Gibbs, White and Campana, the attacking options, they've all been left, kicking their heels amongst the subs while you bring Dendoncker on, which is a defensive change. So, as we say, a disappointing night.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Nuno's caught between sticking or twisting it in the game, and whether he wanted to settle for the point. The problem is that when Dendoncker came on, they just more and more pressure Sheffield United. There was only one team in that. There's only one team that wanted to win that in the last half an hour, and it wasn't Wolves. And that's the most disappointing thing for a team that had Champions League football. What Daniel Podence has to do to get some minutes on the pitch is unbelievable. Why do Wolves even go to try and get special dispensation for him to come and play this game when he's supposed to be in quarantine for 14 days and they've made sure that it's all okay and he's had all the checks and everything's got the green light, for him not to come on in a game that was crying out, especially with Pedro Neto not there, crying out for him to get involved. That's what I don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good point. You've gone through the trouble of getting him cleared and he doesn't even play a minute. He hasn't trained properly for a week. That may have a thing, but you've barely seen him for Wolves, and when a game's like that, it doesn't harm you to have a bit of unpredictability in the team. If anything, Wolves have become a little bit too predictable. Get the ball to Traore and see what he can do, and when he's dislocated his shoulder again, as he has done tonight, then that's no doubt in the back of his mind, and he didn't have the best of games. So you've got somebody like Powdens, who's a bit of an unknown quantity. Why not use him? It's disappointing not to see him involved. He's a £17 million signing. We'd have thought we'd have seen more from him by now. Hopefully he will play a part in these coming weeks, but the evidence up to yet would suggest that he's going to be sub for a bit, if not kind of staying on the bench and not coming on at all.
Well, it's going to be very, very unlikely that he's going to come from no minutes on the pitch to start a game against Everton. But there needs to be changes. There needs to be something that needs to change. Ruben Vinagre can count himself very unlucky, but Johnny's obviously been one of the better players coming out of this restart. But do you go a bit more attacking against Everton? Could we see someone like Ruben Vinagre? Do you completely change it? Does Traore drop out? Do you play Jota and Jimenez back up top? There's a few things that he can do. Something needs to change because they need to get more shots on the target and they need to be more threatening in games.
Yeah, they do. I didn't think Johnny had the best game really tonight. I thought Baldock was always a threat down that right side, and I think Johnny struggled to deal with him. So there could be scope for that, kind of getting Vinagre in the team and getting more legs. It's not to say that, you kind of dropping Johnny and stuff like that. It's just kind of freshening things up, and Wolves do need to freshen things up. Maybe Johnny's one that could drop out. I mean, maybe a Matinho or a Neves could even drop out for a Dendoncker or something to start with on Sunday. I mean, you might think it's unlikely, but something needs to be freshened up. It just seems to have gone a little bit stagnant, and if that carries on, Wolves could be, just about hanging on in the Europa race, never mind Champions League. So, yeah, something needs to be done.
Yeah, not to be tonight. Sheffield United 1, Wolves 0. For all the post-match reaction, make sure you log on to expressthestar.com. Get yourself home, Joe.